Oh, Japan. If we were to take a look at the most popular product it has to offer, it would be no doubt the food, but anime is a close second. But anime nowadays, it's not like it used to be. Anime has sure come a long way, trust me. Today, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and explore the world of anime in the 2000s. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The 2000s were a decade of incredible growth and innovation for anime, with many iconic series being released during this time. From the classic shonen action of Naruto and Bleach, to the emotional roller coaster that was Full Metal Alchemist. There's no denying that the 2000s were a golden age for anime. The 2000s were a time of great change and growth in the anime industry, with new technological advances and trends shaping the way we watch and enjoy anime. This was a time when anime was becoming increasingly popular in the West, and we saw the rise of many beloved series that are still celebrated today. To understand the anime of the 2000s, we first need to take a look at the state of the industry at the beginning of the decade. In the 1990s, anime was still primarily a niche interest in the West, with only a small number of fans who were able to access anime through specialty stores or limited television broadcasts. Also during that time, the anime industry was in a bit of a slump, with many studios struggling to find success. However, this all changed with the release of a little series called Pokemon in 1997. Pokemon quickly became a massive hit in Japan and around the world, sparking a renewed interest in anime. This paved the way for other popular series like Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon to make a comeback in the early 2000s. But it wasn't just the return of these classics that helped to revitalize the industry. Another significant change was the rise of streaming platforms, such as Crunchyroll and Funimation, which made anime more accessible to fans worldwide. Before the advent of streaming, fans had to rely on purchasing DVDs or watching anime on cable TV channels, which were often limited in their selection, which sometimes meant that you only had word of mouth to go on, or judge an anime by the name or cover if you got your hands on a DVD copy. One of the biggest changes was the transition from traditional hand-drawn animation to digital animation. This shift allowed animators to work more efficiently and opened up new possibilities for visual effects. Despite the growth and success of the anime industry in the early 2000s, it also faced some challenges. One of the biggest challenges was the piracy of anime content, which affected the profitability of the industry. Additionally, the industry faced criticism for its portrayal of female characters, with some viewers arguing that many female characters were overly sexualized and lacked agency. But I digress. The main issue with being an anime enthusiast was the lack of anime, at least for a Western audience. Before the advent of streaming services, anime was primarily distributed through physical media such as DVDs or VHS tapes, which were often expensive and difficult to find. As a result, many fans had to rely on fan-subbed or pirated copies, which were of lower quality and sometimes inaccurate translations. Additionally, many anime shows were dubbed in only a few languages, which meant that non-English speaking fans had to rely on subtitles, which were often of varying quality. The early 2000s marked a period of diversification for anime, with a wide range of genres and themes emerging. That said, there were still certain trends and commonalities that could be seen in many anime series from this time period. One of the most notable trends was the increase in the number of anime adaptations of manga. This was due in part to the growing popularity of manga in Japan, but also to the fact that manga often provided a rich source material that could be adapted into a full anime series. The trends can mainly be divided in three. One of the most prominent genres in the early 2000s was shonen anime. These shows were typically targeted towards young male audiences and featured action-packed storylines with male protagonists. Things that are kinda usual today, but shonen anime shows like Naruto and Bleach were hugely popular during this time and helped to drive the popularity of anime in the West. Another popular genre during this time was magical girl anime. These shows typically featured young girls with magical powers who fought against evil forces to protect the world. Shows like Cardcaptor Sakura and Sailor Moon were popular during this time and helped to introduce many young viewers to the world of anime. Another trend was the emergence of slice-of-life anime, which focused on the everyday lives of its characters and featured minimal action or fantasy elements, stuff that usually wouldn't catch on with a casual viewer. Shows like Azumanga Daioh and Lucky Star became popular among anime fans who appreciated their humor and relatable characters. Despite the diversity of genres and themes in early 2000s anime, there were also several common tropes that could be found across many shows. These included themes of friendship, teamwork, and coming of age, as well as the use of fan service and cute characters to appeal to audiences. The early 2000s also saw the emergence of more complex and mature storytelling in anime, with a focus on themes such as personal growth, identity, and relationships. Psychological thrillers like Monster and Paranoia Agent became more common, showcasing complex characters and intricate storylines. Another trend in the early 2000s was the increasing use of CGI in anime, with shows like Final Fantasy, Unlimited, and Appleseed using computer-generated graphics to create stunning visual effects. Additionally, anime began to appeal to a wider audience, with shows like Naruto and One Piece becoming popular not just in Japan, but worldwide. Now let's take a closer look at some of the most popular anime series from the early 2000s. We'll start by looking at the 3 most popular shows from each year, beginning with the year 2000. 1. Inuyasha. This fantasy series follows the story of Kagome Higurashi, a 15-year-old girl who is transported back in time to feudal Japan, where she teams up with the half-demon Inuyasha to collect the shards of the powerful Shurkan Jewel. 2. Boogie Pop Phantom. This psychological horror series tells the story of a supernatural being known as Boogie Pop, who protects the world from mysterious monsters that threaten humanity. 3. Love Hina. This romantic comedy series, which followed the misadventures of Keitaro Urashima as he tried to get into Tokyo University while living at the all-girls dormitory Hinata House, was a fan favorite in Japan and helped to popularize the harem genre of anime. Moving on to the year 2001, some of the most popular anime shows included 1. Shaman King, a supernatural action series that followed a young shaman named Yo Asakura, who competes in battles against other shamans to become the Shaman King, a being who can communicate with the Great Spirit and shape the world as they see fit. 2. Fruits Basket. This romantic comedy series follows the story of Toru Honda, a high school girl who moves in with the mysterious Soma family, who are cursed to turn into animals of the Chinese zodiac. 3. Hellsing. This supernatural action series follows the story of Alucard, a vampire who works for the Hellsing organization, a secret government agency that fights against supernatural threats. Moving on to 2002, the most popular anime series were 1. Naruto, an action-adventure series that followed a young ninja named Naruto Uzumaki, who dreams of becoming the Hokage, the leader of his village. 2. Azumanga Daioh. This slice-of-life comedy series follows the daily lives of a group of high school girls as they navigate school, friendship, and growing up. 3. Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, a reboot of the original Gundam Seed series, which followed a new cast of characters in a new war between the Earth Alliance and the space colonies. Moving on to the year 2003, some of the most popular anime shows included 1. Wolf's Rain. This fantasy series follows the story of a group of wolves who search for the Paradise, a mythic land where wolves can live in peace. 2. Gunslinger Girl. This action drama series follows the story of a group of young girls who have been turned into cyborg assassins by a secret government agency. 3. Fullmetal Alchemist, a fantasy adventure series that followed 2 brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric, who use alchemy to try to bring their deceased mother back to life, but end up paying a terrible price. Moving on to 2004, the most popular anime series were 1. Bleach, an action-adventure series that followed a high school student named Ichigo Kurosaki, who gains the power of a soul reaper and must defend the living world from evil spirits, and guide the souls of the dead to the afterlife. 2. Elfen Lied, a dark fantasy series that followed a young girl named Lucy, who is a Diclonius, a mutant species with powerful telekinetic abilities and invisible arms called vectors. 3. Monster. This psychological thriller follows a talented young doctor named Kenzo Tenma, who saves the life of a young boy who turns out to be a dangerous criminal. The story follows Tenma as he sets out to stop the boy's reign of terror. The anime shows from the early 2000s have had a huge impact on the industry and helped shape the trends in future shows that followed. One of the biggest trends that emerged during this time was the rise of long-running series. Shows like One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach all became incredibly popular and ran for hundreds of episodes, inspiring other series to follow in their footsteps. Another trend that emerged during this time was the popularity of mecha anime, with shows like Gundam Seed and Full Metal Panic gaining a lot of attention. Mecha anime has continued to be a popular genre, with recent shows like Code Geass and Gurren Lagann gaining widespread acclaim. Romantic comedies and dramas also became popular during this time, with shows like Boys Over Flowers and Fruits Basket finding huge audiences. This trend has continued, with shows like Toradora and Kimi and Itadoke becoming popular in later years. Perhaps one of the most significant impacts of the anime shows from the early 2000s was their influence on the industry as a whole. The success of shows like Full Metal Alchemist, Naruto, and Bleach helped to open up the international market for anime, leading to increased distribution and availability worldwide. These shows also helped to establish anime as a mainstream form of entertainment, with many people becoming fans of the genre and seeking out other shows to watch. This has led to the continued popularity of anime to this day, with new shows being released every year that build on the success of those that came before. In conclusion, the anime shows from the early 2000s have had a lasting impact on the industry, shaping trends and inspiring future shows. They help to establish anime as a popular and mainstream form of entertainment, and their influence can still be felt today. As much as we love and cherish the anime shows from the early 2000s, let's be real, they had their fair share of issues too. Some of these issues were so absurd that they make us look back and chuckle. For starters, let's talk about the animation quality. While some shows like Full Metal Alchemist and Bleach had great animation, others were not so lucky. Remember how characters' faces would suddenly transform into these weird, distorted shapes during fight scenes? Yeah, not the prettiest sight. Then there were the filler episodes. You know, those episodes that weren't based on the manga and were made to buy time while waiting for new chapters to be released. Some of these episodes were so pointless that they made us question the meaning of life itself. And let's not forget the bizarre censorship that was sometimes applied. Remember how they'd cover up characters' faces with random objects, like a mushroom or a flower, instead of just blurring them out? Or how they'd replace blood with random colors like black or green? Yeah, that was weird. And let's not forget the weird translation choices that sometimes made their way into English dubs. Whether it was a mistranslation that completely changed the meaning of a scene or awkward dialogue that just didn't quite land, there were definitely some cringe-worthy moments in early 2000s anime dubs. But despite all these flaws, we still loved these shows. They captured our imaginations and took us on incredible journeys filled with action, drama, and romance. They may not have been perfect, but they were a reflection of their time and helped to pave the way for the anime shows that followed. So let's look back on these early 2000s anime shows with fondness, flaws and all, and appreciate the impact they've had on the industry and on us as fans. But that's all for me. See you on the flip side.